Said yesterday that they have voted 205 billion to prosecute the 2023 presidential election, and they have given directive to the vice presidential candidate of PDP, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, to go and raise part of that money. And the reason why they had to quickly put together a loan 3 months to the expiration of Okowa as governor, they passed a law in the assembly, the fastest law that has been passed in the history of
my fellow Deltans, my fellow Nigerians. I just come out to bring some proofs of how our governor of Delta State have been operating. However, like you rightly heard from the video you have just listened to, the government of Ifeanyi Okowa is all about borrowing and borrowing. Borrowing is not a bad thing. It is a phenomenon and a way of helping oneself or an institution like Delta State. Yes, of course, it is accepted. But the mode of borrowing and the mode of spending, what is the need to be borrowing when we have excess? And what is the borrowing being used for? This is the question at this particular time. Most especially at this time, very close to the end of the tenure of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa. Why is Okowa really borrowing billions upon billions? Is he borrowing these billions because of the projects that he is undertaking in this state, Delta State, or is there another purpose? Like we rightly heard from the speaker at the beginning of this video, the speaker alleged that there was a meeting of the PDP Presidential Campaign Forum whereby there was a budget of 205 billion naira to be spent on the campaign of the presidential ticket in this coming election, so that a duty have been given to the Delta State governor, a person of Ifeanyi Okowa, who is now running alongside with Atiku Abubakar in PDP, to raise a part of the money, whereby he quickly ran back to the Delta State House of Assembly to pass a bill of borrowing just for 6 minutes. That is the fastest bill that I've ever scaled through in the history of Nigeria, like he alleged. I want you people to listen to how this our brother explained everything. Listen.
Camp presently, I understand yesterday that they have voted 205 billion to prosecute the 2023 presidential election, and they have given directive to the vice presidential candidate of PDP, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, to go and raise part of that money. And the reason why they had to quickly put together a loan 3 months to the expiration of Okowa as governor, they passed a law in the assembly, the fastest law that has been passed in the history of legislation in Nigeria. 6 minutes, they passed a law in the Delta Assembly, approving 120 billion loan for Okowa. Only God knows what he wants to do with it. And given the way and manner that loans are procured, you are supposed to provide evidence and details of what you want to spend that money for. You are also supposed to provide how you are going to pay back, if you are going to use your IGR or irrevocable payment standing order, and so many other requirements. All of that were never provided for. The Delta Assembly just woke up in the morning. Within 6 minutes, they passed a law guarantee 120 billion loan from a bank that has just been registered, Premium Trust Bank. Only God knows where that bank is coming from. If we trace the antecedent of that bank, I'm sure even the governor himself may have a hand in it. But the point is, we must begin to interrogate some of these processes. Persons who want to govern us, who want to preside us, are presiding over illegalities, and they want us to be clapping for them. How can the governor wake up in the morning and before you say Jack Robinson, an assembly ought to make law for the good governance of Delta people, is approving 120 billion loan, even 3 months of the expiration of Okowa. But of course, like I told you, they have drawn up a budget of 205 billion.
People who have more insight why Delta State should be borrowing billions can come outside and prove this our brother wrong. But whatever the case may be, I am here to buttress and to add to what this our brother have just shared as a view, that Delta State is never a poor state in Nigeria. And secondly, that Delta State have been getting a lot of allocations as alleged and proven by His Excellency Nyesom Wike, that this allocation is what himself as the governor of Rivers State have used for the even development of Rivers State, whereby you cannot see this landmark development in Delta State that commensurate with the amount which the government of Buhari have allocated and paid to Delta State. Yet, Delta State have been borrowing. My question now is that, is impunity a coverage for misbehavior? Is impunity a coverage for whosoever occupies electoral position to start borrowing and place a particular state into debts? What is the main arrangement in place by Governor Ifeanyi Okowa to replace or to recover this money and pay? Is Delta State money, as alleged by the first speaker, meant for the sponsorship of federal elections? I don't think it will go well with Deltas if Delta is being pushed into this kind of big and bogus debt, which Ifeanyi Okowa have succeeded in pushing Delta State into. Now, the speaker also alleged that it is the fastest bill that have ever gone through in the history of Nigeria. You will agree with me that the governorship candidate under the canopy of PDP is being put by Ifeanyi Okowa, and if such a bill of borrowing to sponsor elections is being placed on ground, it will not waste time for the speaker to sign whatsoever the governor must have put on the table, even if not justified. But the reason being known to them that yes, this is to sponsor our elections for our own personal gains. That is what they believe, for their own personal gains. Then, who is to pay these debts? If by peradventure Ifeanyi Okowa did not win the election alongside his master, how is he going to pay this money? Even at the federal level, is he going to collect the federal money to bring back into the coffers of Delta State? It is time for Deltans to think twice and know how to use their PVC, so that a government that will think of the future of Deltans, Nigerians, should be voted into position. Anyone is free to give his own opinion. If the first speaker is giving a wrong analysis or a wrong view from the information he gathered, those with deeper insight can drop their own view why this money, 120 billion, was being borrowed few days before the expiration of the tenure of this governor, Ifeanyi. You are free to drop your opinion, whereby everybody will get some knowledge from it and know what to do. Thank you. I remain your humble brother. I meet you in another episode.